Now, there's been a lot of speculation about January 6th. Now, Democrats think January 6th was just like Pearl Harbor and 9/11, even though it was nothing like those things. If those things didn't result in the death of anyone.
Did you see the thing of the deaths of that day? And most of them are people dropping dead of like pulmonary disease.
Yeah, like heart
they're
attack.
yelling too much.
The only person killed was a protester. She got shot in the neck, right?
Yeah, and then there were 2 suicides later. It's really strange how you add up to these death numbers. But
like they like to say 6 people died. I think it was just the one lady got shot by the cops, and then a cop died later. But wasn't that like a heart attack or something?
No, there are 2 suicides supposedly. I got this from
by cops.
Factcheck.org.
This is from Fact. You got it? All right, so let's get into. So let's get. Here's a guy. Now, there's been a lot of speculation about this guy. This guy's name is Epps. So here, let me show you this guy.
Ray Epps.
The Ray Epps. This might be loud, so get ready to turn it down.
I'm going to put it out there. I'm probably going to go to jail for it, okay? Tomorrow, we need to go into the Capitol. Into the Capitol.
So I don't know if you heard. He said tomorrow we have to go into the Capitol, and then you hear this guy go, "What?" And everybody goes, "No," and they start calling him a Fed. Here, I'll play it again.
I'm going to put it out there. I'm probably going to go to jail for it, okay? Tomorrow, we need to go into the Capitol. Into the Capitol. Peacefully. Fed.
And then they start chanting that he's a Fed. Now, is he a Fed? I don't know. But it's weird that that guy, or an informant or whatever, it doesn't look like it. But what's interesting is that guy was on the FBI's most wanted list for a couple of months, as if they couldn't find him. He's not hard to find. And then they just took him off, and they didn't tell anybody why. And then when they asked the people from the attorney generals and the FBI about it, they all act like they don't know anything. So that to me, this is there's some 2 pieces of interesting video I'm going to show you right now. And so one is Tom Cotton interviewing, I think, the assistant attorney general. So let's watch.
Mr. Olson, on July 28, 2020, you signed a public letter attacking the Trump administration for using Department of Homeland Security officers to help protect the federal courthouse in Portland from violent rioters. That letter stated, quote, plainclothes officers and...
Boy, Tom Cotton really likes to sit erect. Like he's got to... Talk about having a fucking steel rod up your ass. He's just...
Right?
Look at that. That is... Anyway, here we go.
Unmarked vehicle should be used only in limited capacities and clearly identified circumstances. Crowd control is not among those circumstances.
Can't believe
Mr. Olson, on January 6, 2021, did the Department of Justice or FBI have any plainclothes officers among the crowd at the Capitol?
Senator, I'm not aware of whether or not there were plainclothes officers in among the crowd.
You're not aware if there were plainclothes? What? It's been a year. You don't know that? Like that, wouldn't that be the number one thing? You'd want to interview those guys or people? Isn't that crazy? I think that's crazy. Okay, here we go. And look how super cash he is too. I'm always suspect of the guys who are being questioned and insulted to their face when they're super cash about it. Tells me I think that they're hiding something.
And I have to say this. I think it's suspect that he has to have his camera so far out that I can see what a loyal dude he is.
Look at this. So he's got the Department of Justice above him. He's got the flag here. He's got the other flag there. He's got this. If this doesn't look like Nazi propaganda, this looks like something Heidi Rice. What was her name? She did all the videos of
look at the Leni Riefenstahl.
Yeah.
Good
look
pull.
at the flags are like angel wings coming out of his back and a halo, and then he has a halo.
You are correct. Let's go. There's more.
Wow. They must have the cinematographer from Euphoria on HBO doing this. Really great shots.
Did any plainclothes officers enter the Capitol on January 6th?
I don't know the answer to that, Senator.
What?
Mr.
How do you not know the answers to these questions? Here we go.
So I got to say, your answers to many questions today are disappointing because they boil down to essentially, I don't know. Did you prepare for this hearing? Did you know this hearing was happening before this morning?
Fair question, I think, by the way.
The direct answer, yes, I prepared extensively, Senator. Many of the questions are about specific information.
Yeah, it's not a big deal, dude. I'm with you. I'm cool.
Well, I mean, what was
I think that's one of the most important points that I would emphasize is, it's a general matter. It's not appropriate to comment on ongoing investigations.
Well, I didn't ask you about an ongoing investigation, but I just flipped to the cover. My binder here says the title of this hearing is the domestic terrorism threat 1 year after January 6th. The Attorney General has repeatedly said this is one of the department's highest priority. You're testifying at a hearing about the domestic terrorism threat 1 year after January 6th. You can't answer questions about how many people have been charged for events arising on January 6th. Would you go into a briefing with the Attorney General, your boss, and not be able to answer such basic questions?
On the last question you asked, Senator, over 700 people have been charged in connection with January 6th. About 325 have been charged with serious felonies in connection with the...
10 minutes ago, Senator Cruz asked you this series of questions, and you didn't have the answer. You didn't have the answer for how many people have been charged with violent offenses or non-violent offenses and so on and so forth. Have you given an answer in the last 10 minutes?
I'm sorry if I misunderstood, Senator, but I believe that Senator Cruz was asking about other events, not the January 6th event.
Okay, let's turn to another issue that came up earlier today. Ray Epps. During the January 6th riots last year, Mr. Epps was caught on video several times. He seemed to encourage people to enter the Capitol to break down police barriers. Video from the rallies, or from the rally down the National Mall early that day shows him doing the same thing. Video even from the night before shows him encouraging people to enter the Capitol. Ray Epps lives in Arizona. He didn't exactly go underground after January 6th. He even gave an interview to local media, and he was well known to the Department of Justice. He was on the FBI's Capitol riot most wanted page just days after January 6th. In fact, he was one of the first 16 suspects added to that most wanted page on your website. It does not appear that he's been arrested or charged in any offense. In July, without explanation, he was removed from the FBI's most wanted page. Mr. Olson, who is Ray Epps, and why was he removed from the FBI's most wanted list?
So now that's the guy that I showed you at the top of this segment who was saying we got to go into the thing, and they all called him a Fed. Okay.
Senator, I don't have any information about that.
He doesn't have any information.
I would defer to Ms. Sanborn for any additional.
Okay.
He's got no information on that guy.
And frankly, I don't want to know.
So
is he?
So
wait, Jimmy. So he's remote talking to this guy, like
Yes.
he's on a remote.
Yes.
So he set that scene up of
Yes.
angel wings and a halo.
Yes.
That's hilarious.
Yes. So he never. I don't know anything about that guy. The guy who was on the most wanted list from the January 6th thing. You don't know anything about him. You don't know why he was put on the list. You don't know why he was taken off the list. Wow. So here, let's watch Ted Cruz.
How many FBI agents or confidential informants actively participated in the events of January 6th?
Can you turn it up a little? That's it.
Sir, I'm sure you can appreciate that I can't go into the specifics of sources and methods.
Did any FBI agents or confidential informants actively participate in the events of January 6th? Yes or no?
Sir, I can't answer that.
Can't answer.
Did any FBI agents or confidential informants commit crimes of violence on January 6th?
I can't answer that, sir.
Can't answer.
Did any FBI agents or FBI informants?
A year later, can't answer the question to a senator. Did any FBI agents or FBI informants commit violence on January 6th? I can't answer that. What? So you see how this isn't really working to tamp down people's conspiracy theories? You see how this isn't working to do that? What? You don't think that the FBI... First of all, I think the FBI and the CIA are always up to nefarious shit. Always. Always. You just got to find out what it is.
Do you think people generally... Because there's one thing I noticed. I've heard of this for a while, from other things like crime, like those mafia guys podcasts, they talk about it. The things you would think are entrapment are not entrapment legally. They just have to prove you did a thing that's in your nature.
Yes.
And I don't think people are that aware, like all the Muslims that they were spying on, that everybody's like, oh, good, they probably should spy on them and see what they're up to because of terrorism. That's the tricks they did. They'd have some guy just like this, what's his name again? Ray Epps. They'd have they'd have a Muslim Ray Epps go in a mosque and try to stir up something and come up with a plan, and then the people do it, and then they come in and arrest them, and then they get their funding goes up. And this is the same. I don't think people are aware, like, to them that's not even a conspiracy to do that. They're allowed to do that legally.
Yes. All right, let's get back to Ted Cruz. Yes, you're correct. They look what they did with the Michigan governor. There are
right.
9 people going to do a kidnapping, and 5 of them are feds in the truck. It's like, what?
Governments actively encourage and incite crimes of violence on January 6th.
Sir, I can't answer that.
Ms. Sadburn, who is Ray Epps?
I'm aware of the individual, sir. I don't have the specific background to him.
Well, there are a lot of people who are understandably very concerned about Mr. Epps. On the night of January 5th, 2021, Epps wandered around the crowd that had gathered, and there's video out there of him chanting, "Tomorrow, we need to get into the Capitol, into the Capitol." This was strange behavior, so strange that the crowd began chanting, "Fed, Fed, 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 Fed." Ms. Sandburn, was Ray Epps a Fed?
Sir, I cannot answer that question.
She can't answer the question. And now anybody who thinks there's something going on here is going to be painted now as by the establishment press. So I don't know what's going on here, but something's going on here. A year later, nobody can answer any. I don't know. What have you guys been doing? Getting haircuts for a year? What the fuck have you been doing all day?
She's been on the trail of Dr. Hannibal Lecter, Jimmy. Didn't you see?
This is our Pearl Harbor, 9/11. A year later, you don't know anything about anything? You can't even tell us if there were feds that were a part of this yet? Here we go.
The next day, on January 6th, Mr. Epps is seen whispering to a person, and 5 seconds later, 5 seconds after he's whispering to a person, that same person begins to forcibly tear down the barricades. Did Mr. Epps urge them to tear down the barricades?
Sir, similar to the other answers, I cannot answer that.
Can't answer that question.
Shortly thereafter, the FBI put out a public post seeking.
Why don't you know that? That would be my next. I wish Ted would have asked that. Why don't you know that?
Information on individuals connected with violent crimes on January 6th. Among those individuals, in the bottom there, is Mr. Epps. The FBI publicly asked for information, offering cash rewards leading to information leading to the arrest.
Now, if he was an FBI informant or whatever, or an instigator, why would they put him on that list? That's the thing so that's the kind of thing that kills this theory, I think. But they also could be just that incompetent. They're all sitting there pretending they don't know who the fuck he is.
Don't they arrest the agent too at first, and then like Donnie Brasco gets arrested with the rest of the guys, and then he's quietly let out later?
I would not put that past that. That's another thing. I wouldn't. So that's what people are pointing to say it kills the theory. Why would they put him on the most wanted? And just like what you're saying, like, I don't know, they do a lot of crazy nefarious shit to throw the dogs off the scent. So why, if he's not a Fed, why wouldn't you just say it? And end this.
Yeah.
Why would you just say, no, we've looked into it. We've interviewed him. We're the feds, and he's not one. Why couldn't they just say that?
Yeah, right.
They didn't even talk about if they interviewed him. Well, we're going to get to that. Hold on.
This was posted, and then, sometime later, magically, Mr. Epps disappeared from the public posting. According to public records, Mr. Epps has not been charged with anything. No one's explained why a person videoed urging people to go to the Capitol, a person whose conduct was so suspect the crowd believed he was a Fed, would magically disappear from the list of people the FBI was looking at. Ms. Sandburn, a lot of Americans are concerned that the federal government deliberately encouraged illegal and violent conduct on January 6th. My question to you, and this is not an ordinary law enforcement question, this is a question of public accountability. Did federal agents or those in service of federal agent actively encourage violent and criminal conduct on January 6th?
Not to my knowledge, sir.
Not to my knowledge. Holy shit.
Do they have an earpiece or something that tells them what legalese to say?
No, I think they just do it all day. So here's what Glenn Greenwald said. He said, hate Ted Cruz all you want, but these questions about the FBI's role in January 6th are vital because it's what the FBI did in the first war on terror and with the Whitmer case. They did the stuff that people think they're doing now in January 6th. So people are the establishment media is trying to make it look like you're a crazy nutball if you think the FBI would ever be involved in instigating a riot or anything like that. Even though we know they did it in the first war on terror and they're doing that shit in the Whitmer case. I just talked about that. But also because there's ample evidence that they did it here on January 6th. The media's indifference is shameful. It's not indifference. The media is actively ignoring it. That they're willfully not reporting on this. And they're spinning it every other way possible. But Ted Cruz is one of the bad people, so nothing he asks is valid, even the valid questions that he asks. And if one of the good people asked these questions, if one of the good people would have asked these questions, guess what would happen? They'd automatically become one of the bad people. Just like I am, because I ask all the questions a good person wouldn't ask. So here's Glenn goes on, he says, from the start, there has been ample reason to believe FBI's involvement in January 6th was significant. But there's been no pressure to find out because most of the corporate media, subservient as always to the security state, renders the topic off limits. Personally, Glenn, I have a different theory. I think this tragic insurrection happened because all these people were just upset they can't date AOC. If you don't believe me, ask AOC. I apologize to the large number of liberals and some of their left allies for impugning the integrity of the FBI and suggesting that they may not have been entirely forthcoming about their role in January 6th, and for believing this should be investigated. I know how much anger it produces. Yes, it does. Well, thank you for apologizing, at least, Glenn. Many of these liberals are going to be upset because they advocated for hashtag defund the police, except for the FBI. They do a great job. Glenn's final tweet on it, he says the Congressional January 6th Committee is pretending to work to find out everything relevant that happened with the executive branch regarding January 6th. Yet here you have senior FBI official refusing to answer any and all questions about how much involvement their informants had. That's just a fact. That's what's happening. Why, Glenn, why are you pointing out these discrepancies? That's the real question. And the answer is because he's mad he can't date AOC. Here's how Political's covering it. I mean, whitewashing it. January 6th panel has debunked a conspiracy theory that popped up even in Congress this week. Ray Epps was no secret government agent. How does Politico know this? Are you ready for how Politico knows this? First of all, thank God Politico, the voice of reason, is here to bring the debunk hammer down on this far-fetched conspiracy theory that Ray Epps is a secret government agent just because the FBI won't say yes or no whether to a sitting fucking senator whether Ray Epps was FBI or not. God damn. What's with these conspiracies? See, look, it doesn't matter what the FBI won't answer because the January 6th committee already got to the bottom of things. These are people who get better stock returns than Warren Buffett, ladies and gentlemen. That's how smart they are. So I think they can handle a little thing like investigating January 6th. And I wouldn't want to be Glenn Greenwald right now because he's about to get destroyed with facts, I bet. Here's what fucking Politico says. In a statement, the January 6th committee indicated it had interviewed Ray Epps. Oh, the committee did. Did the FBI interview him? The committee. Did the FBI interview him? So this is their big debunking. The committee interviewed Ray Epps, an Arizona man who was seen on video in Washington, January, blah, 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 blah. He was also on video on the Capitol grounds on January 6th, outside the building, just moments before a violent crowd began toppling barriers guarded by the police. By the way, the select committee has interviewed Mr. Epps. A spokesperson for the committee said, Mr. Epps informed us that he was not employed by or working with or acting at the direction of any law enforcement agency on January 5th or 6th at any other time, and that he has never been an informant for the FBI or any other law enforcement agency. So, there you go. They asked Ray Epps. He said no. Fucking debunked. Are you happy, conspiracy crazy? The guy said it's not real. The guy being accused. The FBI couldn't say one way or the other, but that guy said it.
Hey,
and why would he lie? What's that?
Guy say he didn't do it. I don't know what to tell you.
Guy say he didn't do it. He didn't do it. What do you want me to do? The guy said he didn't do it. Hey, Vinny. The guy said he didn't do it. He didn't do it. There you have it. Ray Epps was asked if he was working for the FBI, and he said no. I bet Glenn Greenwald feels like a real asshole right now. Huh? All I can say is, hey, Politico, get ready for your Pulitzer. Woo! Those are some real Woodward and Bernsteins they just laid down. They asked him. He said no! Hey, remember when Deep Throat was a code name for the informant who worked with journalists to expose crimes at the highest levels of government? Well, now Deep Throat is just the name for what the mainstream journalists do to power. That's well written. Hey, instead of speaking truth to power, why don't we deep throat power? I think that's what. That's got to be on Politico's masthead. Deep throat to power. Get you awards. Okay. While the FBI does have by the way, Mother Jones, this is how they covered it. While the FBI does have a history of recklessly setting up fake terrorist plots through the use of informants, especially as a tool in the war on terror, Ray Epps as FBI agent is at best speculation.
You do it as Harry Carey voice. Or whatever, the football voice.
Actually, it was at worst speculation. At best, it's pretty much exactly what the fuck happened. That's how those phrases work, Politico. I like how Mother Jones printed here. It is at best. What they printed there is at best utter stupidity and at worst gaslighting. Oh, sure, they have a history of doing the exact thing that people think they're fucking doing right now. A splendid, spectacular history of recklessly doing this. but you're an asshole if you think they were doing it here. While this child molester does have a history of molesting children and completely getting away with it, the theory that he had molested more children is at best speculative. Sure, the heroin addict has a history of doing heroin, but does that mean he recently did heroin? Where's the evidence? So there you go. That's what's passing for news skepticism these days. It's not. They're running interference for a particular political point of view. That's what Politico's doing. That's what Mother Jones is doing. That's what the establishment corporate news does. Because if you could watch those hearings of those judicial justice work, the FBI and the Attorney General, Assistant Attorney General, then there's something wrong with you. If you don't think there's something wrong with that, then you are a willing dupe. How about that? Hey, come see a live Jimmy Dore show. We're in Los Angeles, January 7th and 14th. Then we're in Raleigh, North Carolina, and Philadelphia. Go to jimmydoorecomedy.com for a link for all tickets and become a premium member to get access to all our premium videos.